Hello, I'm your host Matthew, and welcome to 2CrazyMedia. We're back with a new Sunday video, a news roundup, and if you've seen any of our past videos, you probably tell it's different background. That's right, I'm back at school, so different background. I'm by myself. My co-host Jason, who if you didn't know is my brother, he is also at school somewhere else, so sadly we are not together for the time being, which sucks. But the next Sunday video we are gonna be together, so we're gonna film that then, and then any Sundays after that we're gonna try to do a Zoom call or just do a Discord call together and try to record that then, so we can at least do our Sunday videos together like we do usually. But for today's Sunday news roundup, it's just gonna be me, and a little bit different background in terms of being back at school and having classes now. With terms of the week videos and schedule for Tuesday, Thursday videos, it's gonna be a little different now for at least the next few weeks. Videos will no longer be on Tuesday, Thursdays anymore. Right now, I don't actually have a schedule of when videos will be during the week. The Sunday videos, the news roundup videos on Sunday will still be a thing every week on Sunday. But in terms of these smaller short form videos that I've been putting out every Tuesday, Thursday for the past few weeks, those will be, I don't really have a schedule for those yet, so honestly, you could see one tomorrow, you could see one Tuesday, you could see one Wednesday. It's kind of going to be random, but expect 2 weeks still, and expect at least these next 2 weeks for it to be a little bit random of a release for when these weekly videos will come out. And then hopefully after 2 weeks, I can kind of come up with a schedule for those weekday videos. But with that, I say we get into the news. We have 8 news stories for this week in terms of the biggest news you need to know in video games and movies, and also TV as well. So let's get with the top big news story of the week. And it's another story about GTA 6. I feel like we're talking about it every week now. But this is coming from Chris Scullion over at Video Games News Chronicles at VGC, Video Games Chronicle. Grand Theft Auto 6 may not have a physical version on day 1 to avoid leaks, report claims. Take-Two and Rockstar may hold back the release of the physical version of Grand Theft Auto 6 to avoid spoilers. That's according to Polish site ppe.pl, whose insider Grax Dari previously correctly leaked the information on the release date of the Oblivion remastered physical copies and the Switch 2 port of Sonic Racing Cross Worlds and the PS5 port of Microsoft Flight Simulator. According to Grax Dari, who ppe.pl says handles physical game sales in Europe, Take-Two still has no plans for a physical edition of the game, at least at release. While it appears inevitable that the game will get a physical release, the report claims that it may appear on consoles digitally first, with a physical version following later. This could only be a few weeks after release or as far back as 2027. So this is one that is a little interesting. I'm not too shocked by this, being we've kind of seen in the past few years with GTA 6, Rockstar has been very secretive with it since the leaks that happened a while back ago. And so we see this all the time with big game releases, is that places like Walmart and GameStop get shipments early of the physical copies, obviously, because they have to get them early enough to stock them on the shelves, get them ready, have enough for pre-orders and stuff like that. For people to come in, like midnight releases have been such a big thing for years now, for many, many years, such a staple. And obviously we've seen less of those as more games go fully digital, and just digital becomes a bigger thing when it comes to purchasing games. Like, I know personally, for me, I used to, when I was younger, buy all my games physically. I would love to go into GameStop or Best Buy and buying my games there. This is awesome thing to do. But now I buy all my games digitally. I haven't bought a physical copy of a game in years. And that's just because of ease of access. It's just way easier that way. And so with this, they're going to hold, and this report doesn't say that they're not releasing a physical edition at all. It's just that it's coming at least either a few weeks after or even a few months after release of the game, just to combat leaks, because every single time a big video game comes out physically, the game gets shipped, the copies of the game gets shipped to Amazon, get Walmart and GameStop and Best Buy early. Employees and people take advantage. They steal the game, bring it home with them, and play it early, and then leaks go out online. Like, I think in the coming weeks, I wouldn't be shocked if we start seeing leaks and spoilers for Resident Evil Requiem, with it probably coming physically to stores in the next few weeks or so, with it coming out at the end of the month. I think spoilers are going to start dropping in a week or so for that as well. So we would have seen the same for GTA 6, and I think this is just Rockstar combating that. I think it does suck for people, because there are a lot of people out there who I know do like purchasing their games on physical. I get it. It's a nice way to sort of say, hey, I own this game physically. People like to collect the box cover boxes and stuff like that. I totally get it. That's totally understandable. But it'll be interesting to see, with this being like obviously a game that so many people are going to buy, how many people are going to hold off of now buying it digitally to wait for a physical edition. Will we see maybe not as much sales of this game as we thought? I still think even with this game is going to be the highest selling game ever in this shortest span possible. Like, it's going to break records no matter what. But the interesting part is, how much will this affect that? I don't think it'll affect it that much. I think this game is so sought after that people are not going to want to wait weeks to months to get the physical edition. People are just going to buy the digital edition, and if they really want the physical edition, when it comes out, they will double dip and buy it again. I'm not saying everyone's going to do that, because some people will just wait months, and I totally respect that, honestly. That takes a really strong person to wait multiple months after GTA 6 already releases to then buy the physical edition. I know personally I could not do that. Myself, I want to play that game as soon as it comes out and avoid all spoilers. But there are a lot of people who will want to do that, and that is honestly more power to them. Do I think this is real? Yes, 100%. I do think this is going to happen. I'm not shocked at all, like I've said, about this news. I think this is just Rockstar getting ahead of it and getting ahead of the leaks. I think this will definitely, at least for when the game releases digitally, it will probably hurt places like GameStop, who are already hurting enough. I think it's going to hurt them even more, because I think they were kind of banking off GTA 6 being this big midnight release like we've seen with past Rockstar games, and how lines are going to be out the door for it. And now we're not going to see that. Yeah, sure, it might be busy and lines might be out the door when it finally does come physically, but not as big as the demand as when the game actually comes out digitally, which is when the game comes out. And I do believe, yes, I know the big talking point, and we've talked about it on the channel multiple times already now, is when's the game coming out? Is it going to get delayed again? I've said this a million times. I think it's going to come out this November. I don't think it's being delayed again. I think it's Rockstar. Obviously, they're very much in the place of power where if they don't feel like the game is ready to come out November 19th, then they will delay it. And they're not afraid to delay it. We've seen that before. But I think, and obviously they want nothing but perfection with this. But I do think it's going to come out this November. I'm pretty confident, honestly. Way more confident than the last release date, which even I was a little unsure about it coming out in May. So I don't think it'll be delayed, and I think this even makes it more obvious that it's not going to be delayed, and the only thing that is being delayed is the physical version. And in terms of when I think the physical version will come out, I would expect probably 2 weeks. I don't think it's going to take all the way till 2027 for it to come out. I think if it really is just because they don't want leaks getting out and stuff early, then I think it's just probably going to be a 2-week thing, which is not the worst. I think people can definitely hold out for that long. If they really want the physical edition and don't want to double dip and buy the game twice. But yeah, I think that's all for the story. I think it's interesting. I'm not shocked. And for me personally, I'm obviously going to buy it digitally when it comes out, but I'm not shocked by this at all. Alrighty, let's get to the second story. And that is that the final Fast and Furious movie will be titled Fast Forever and is coming 2028. This is coming from Wesley Yenpool over at IGN. Fast and Furious 11 finally confirmed with official title and release date. The next Fast and Furious sequel is confirmed. It's called Fast Forever, and it's due to hit theaters on Friday, March 17th, 2028. Universal Pictures finally dated the long-delayed 11th and possibly final film in the Fast and Furious franchise after a protracted pre-production. In October, the Wall Street Journal reported that the next Fast and Furious movie had not been officially announced because it didn't have a release date on the books or even a final script. Plus, many of the main cast members hadn't signed deals to return to the franchise. Apparently, the script doing the rounds last year would require a budget of approximately $250 million, and the studio allegedly told the filmmakers that it wouldn't greenlight production until expenses were cut by 20%. So yeah, if you don't know, Fast and Furious is one of my all-time favorite film franchises. I've loved Fast and Furious since I was a kid. It's one of the first movies I really grew up kind of watching and being obsessed with as someone who was obsessed with cars and also movies, kind of getting to combine the two and have this fun franchise with Fast and Furious, and being, as a kid, obsessed with the first movie and watching it all the time, to then going to the more action-packed sequels and even enjoying those, because I find them to be fun as well and enjoyable and honestly just a good time. Like, I don't have much of a hatred for some of the latest Fast and Furious movies that a lot of other people do. I don't think they're the best, and I think they definitely have their issues, but I still love them all, and I have a great time, and I don't think there is one bad Fast and Furious movie, for me at least. So I've been definitely very much anticipating the final film. I know, for me at least, it's a big deal to finally get the finale of Fast and Furious. Coming from after Fast X, which came out a few years ago, and kind of that being the part one of the finale, it was a film that I at least enjoyed a lot. I saw it 2 days in a row in theaters when it first came out. I liked it that much. I just had a great time with that. I thought it was goofy as all hell, but in a good way, and in a way I kind of wanted. And so the final one being titled Fast Forever is interesting. I think they've had their fair share of interesting titles with the Fast and Furious movies that we've seen. I mean, Too Fast, Too Furious being a weird one. The fourth one just literally being the same name as the first one, just without "the" in the title, which is weird. We've had like Fast 5, we've had Fate of the Furious, Furious 7, and Fast X. So, and even F9, the Fast Saga, which was the name of that movie. So this franchise has kind of always had a interesting track record with titles, and Fast Forever is definitely, I'd say, the weirdest one yet. I don't know how I feel about it yet. Honestly, this news is pretty new. It just came out a few days ago, and I'm still kind of trying to take it all in, of the final one being Fast Forever. It's at least an interesting title for me. I don't really know if it confirms anything for what the story's going to be. We don't know anything about this movie. We just know that obviously Vin Diesel wants it to more return to kind of the original vibe, which, like, street racing, which I don't know how they could do that with the ending of Fast X. That's going to be definitely messy. Like, I don't want to, okay, I'm going to spoil Fast X because I hope that most of you have seen it by now, and if you haven't, the movie's been out for 3 years now, so it's totally, I can spoil it by now. And that's that, at the end of the film, if you haven't seen it yet, half of the main cast blow up, or at least we think blow up, in a plane, and Dom and his son escape in a car, and they're kind of left, and that's kind of like the big cliffhanger ending. And we see that 2 characters are in the middle of nowhere in Antarctica or something, with Gal Gadot and a submarine. And also in the post-credit scene of that film, The Rock was confirmed to be coming back and is hunting down Jason Momoa's character, who basically played a version of the Joker in the movie. So it was a weird movie, don't get me wrong. And even just kind of saying all that, it's what the hell? But with Vin Diesel saying that he wants this to kind of return back to a more street race focused film, I don't know how you could do that with what happened at the last film. I don't know how that would work. It's gonna be messy no matter what. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be dumb. It's gonna be a dumb explanation for it. There could even be a time jump and they just forget everything that happened in Fast X. I wouldn't be shocked if that's what it is. But I don't really care because I'm just excited no matter what. Like, no matter what this movie is, no matter whether they explain what happened at the end of Fast X or not, I'm gonna be there day one. I'm gonna probably see it multiple days in a row. I'm all in. But that's just me. That's me personally, just because I love Fast and Furious so much. But in terms of release date, March 17th, 2028, that is a while away from now. I know they've been filming the movie for a while now. Like, we've seen Vin Diesel constantly posting online about being on set on like the Universal backlot with like these old cars from the old movies, like racing and stuff in LA. And so it's all going to be interesting. I don't know what else they have to film. This movie just seems like, at least with production phase and making it and filming it, seems like, well, kind of a dumpster fire. But I'm still excited for it. And I'll be there for it. Who knows? And yeah, I'm excited to see more about it. I think because it's not coming out till 2028, we probably won't hear much, if not anything, about it for the rest of the year. I think we'll hear more about it next year. But I think we're probably going to get a drought of information for Fast and Furious coming forward. So yeah, that's all about this story. Fast Forever is the finale, and it's coming in 2028. Alrighty. For the third news story, Iron Lung becomes a smash hit at the box office. This is coming from Jack Dunn over at Variety. Box office, Iron Lung sinks the competition with $8.9 million. Iron Lung pulled in an estimate $8.9 million on Friday from 3,015 theaters for a first-place finish, an impressive result considering the film was self-distributed and funded by YouTube superstar Fishback, aka Markiplier. Domestic gross should climb to 17 million through Sunday, well past initial projections of 10 million. Based on the 2022 indie horror game, the film is co-directed by the game's developer David Szymanski and Fishback, who also stars. Iron Lung follows a fugitive in a post-apocalyptic future who, after a world-ending event known as the Quiet Rapture, must scavenge natural resources in an ocean of blood. Other cast members include Troy Baker, Elsie Lovelock, Sean McLaughlin, and Caroline Kaplan. This is awesome. I have not seen Iron Lung yet. I'm definitely interested in seeing it. I do want to see it sometime soon. I don't know when, but I'm hoping in the next few days or weeks to see this movie in theaters. I've been a fan of Markiplier, I'm sure as many of you else watching this channel, for a long time now. Obviously, he's such an iconic person in YouTube that even if you've just seen a little bit of YouTube growing up, you've probably watched a Markiplier video. That's just how big he is. And so this is really cool. I love seeing these big YouTubers go into filmmaking. We saw that with Chris Stuckman doing Shelby Oaks last year. And now with Markiplier doing Iron Lung. And this film is making a lot of money, which is awesome. It beat out Sam Raimi's film, Send Help, which was his first film in many years, and so to beat out a new Sam Raimi film is really impressive. So good for Markiplier for doing that. That is an awesome feat. So I personally want to see this movie. I'm looking forward to it. I didn't know, I actually don't know anything about this movie. I would be going into it fully blind. I didn't even know that Troy Baker was in it, which makes me want to see it even more. I love Troy Baker. So that's really cool. And I do know Iron Lung is based off a video game. I've never seen the video game, never played the video game, don't really know much about it either. But I am just interested in seeing the film because of Markiplier and just it making a lot of money. I think it's great. I've seen some of the reviews. It's getting mixed reviews critically. Some saying it's really good, some saying it's just fine. But that doesn't really matter when the box office is doing this well, and it's making like 3 times its budget, which is really awesome and impressive. And I hope this is going to mean that Markiplier makes more movies. Who knows what he's going to do next, especially with him getting this big bump and having this big film doing so well. Who knows? I could see a lot of studios taking account and taking notice of Markiplier and being like, hey, do you want to make a movie for us? Like, you just made so much money with this small movie that had a very little budget and not that big of a marketing budget either. And so to do this well in the box office with that is impressive. So I could see a lot of studios sort of taking notice and being like, hey, do you want to, or even going to other YouTubers who have any interest in making feature films and saying, hey, do you want to make a feature film here? Because obviously, not only are we going to get an audience of people who are just interested in seeing a movie like this, but also the audience of the people who like that YouTuber and want to see what this YouTuber can do in a film. So I think that's awesome. Super cool. We'll hopefully be able to see this movie in the next coming days or weeks and be able to record a video on the channel talking about it. But yeah, congratulations to Markiplier for that. That's awesome. Alrighty, time for the next story. So, the new video game Cairn releases to large critical acclaim. I don't have like a specific article or news article for this piece of news. This is more just kind of a big summary of a bunch of news and topics to talk about. If you don't know anything about the new video game Cairn, it's a brand new video game that came out earlier this week on like Thursday, and it's a new climbing game from a indie studio called the Game Bakers. And this is their new game where it's kind of like this cool cell shaded animation look, and it's a game where you have to climb this big mountain. You play as a like famous mountain climber named Ava, and you have to ascend this massive mountain, and it's kind of very like you control each limb and choose where each limb goes, and you want to try to really grab onto the spots that you can really hold on to and grab onto, and it's all about trying to climb without falling and getting higher and higher and higher, with also a good story to back it up. And that's awesome. It looks really cool. I have not been able to try it out yet just because I've been busy recently, but it's a game I played the demo of a few weeks ago, and I really, really enjoyed the demo. This was a shorter demo that kind of lets you play through the first maybe 30 minutes to the first hour of the game. At least it took me a while to get through it, just because took me a while to get the hang of the climbing and all that stuff, and get better at it, which the game is fairly difficult at some moments. I've heard especially towards the latter half of the game, it gets pretty difficult with them introducing a lot of different elements to it, but I think it's really cool. But from what I did play and this game feels awesome. It looks really cool. It feels a weird mix between, it feels calming, like just a nice climbing game, but then also really stressful. And I think that's really cool. And so it's getting, and in terms of what I want to talk about is the reviews, because it came out and the reviews are really, really good. From IGN to GameSpot to really every video game journalist site, they've all given it 9s to 8 out of 10s. On OpenCritic, Cairn right now has an 87. On Metacritic, I believe Cairn has an 84, which is insanely good, like insanely impressive to have an 84 on Metacritic and an 87. I believe so far it is the highest game on Open and Metacritic of the year so far. It's the highest rated game of the year, which is really impressive. I know we're only in January and not that many games have come out already, but for a cool indie climbing game to so far be the highest rated game of the year is great. I know I've heard people talk about this could be a game of the year competitor. That's awesome. I think with such a big, massive AAA year that we're about to get, obviously, I don't think that will last for long, but I think it's just really cool to kind of be able to talk that this game, this small indie game that's just about climbing, is so good that people are actually considering it. Hey, this is like good enough to be a game of the year competitor. I'm not saying it is going to be one, but just that it is good enough to be one is awesome and just super impressive. And I love when indie games like this can come out of nowhere, really, and just make such a big impact critically. And also, I've heard it's been selling really well as well. like over 100,000 copies already, which for a game like this is great and just super impressive, and just really, really, really impressive. Huge props to the developers of this game. Like, that's definitely something to celebrate, how big this game has become and just how much beloved it is. I definitely am interested in checking it out more. I want to try to play it. I know coming up towards the end of this month, it's going to be a pretty busy with Resident Evil, and then next month getting more games, and then starting with, I feel like, Resident Evil coming this month. It's kind of this never-ending cycle of big video games after big video game after big video game. So honestly, this is probably the time these next few weeks to play Cairn, get through it before the big cycle of video games starts coming out in the springtime. But yeah, I think if you're interested in reading a review, probably one of the best reviews I've ever read, and this is thanks to actually, if you watch the KindaFunny, if you watch KindaFunny Games Daily, which I always will say are a big inspiration for this channel, and I'm a massive fan of. In one of their Games Daily videos where they were talking about this game, Greg Miller had recommended everyone read a GameSpot review of this game from Moises Tavares, kind of making a big review on this game, and how he said it was one of the best reviews he's ever read, and I will agree. I immediately after the video went and read this review, and it is fantastic. Like, seriously, I highly recommend reading GameSpot's review of Cairn if you want to read one of the best reviews ever. I mean, like, every sentence is like a poem in itself. It's crazy. So definitely give that review a read on GameSpot. But yeah, it's a great I've heard just great things about this game, and I'm super glad that it's getting great reviews. So that is all. Alrighty. Also, if you've played Cairn, let me know in the comments what you thought about that. If you enjoyed it, if you didn't enjoy it, your pros, your cons of it. Yeah, all that. Alrighty, now let's get into some TV casting news. So more God of War TV series casting announcements. I feel like this is something we talk about every week now. Every news week is new God of War casting, because right now is a season for God of War casting, I guess. So this is coming from Joe Otterson over at Variety. God of War live action series brings back Alistair Duncan as Mimir, cast Danny Woodburn and Jeff Golka as Brock and Sindri. Amazon Prime's live action God of War series has cast 3 key supporting roles. Variety has learned that Alistair Duncan has been cast as Mimir, while Danny Woodburn and Jeff Golka have been cast as brothers Brock and Sindri respectively. The role marks a return to the God of War for Duncan, as he previously voiced Mimir in both the 2018 game God of War and the sequel God of War Ragnarok. They will appear alongside previously announced cast members Ryan Hurst as Kratos, Max Parker as Heimdall, Olafur Dari Olafsson as Thor, and Mandy Patinkin as Odin. Duncan and Hurst are both alums of the God of War games, though Hurst voiced Thor rather than Kratos. Alrighty, so all the Ryan Hurst and stuff we talked about in past videos and been reporting on the past few weeks, but yeah, this cast just keeps getting filled with more and more and more cast members, and it's awesome. I think that obviously the casting for Brock and Sindri are great, and I especially love the casting for Mimir. Obviously, Alistair Duncan, like I just said in the article, is reprising his role as Mimir. He already voiced Mimir in the video game, so he's just now voicing him and also going to be the face for him as well. Again, I like Alistair Duncan. The first time I ever really saw him in anything was in Death Stranding 2. He played a pretty central character to the story in Death Stranding 2. And obviously, if you've seen the video I made a few weeks ago, that is my favorite game of last year, and he was one of my favorite characters in it. So I'm a big fan of Alistair Duncan now, and I'm excited to see him back in this, now live action. And overall, I think what's the interesting question and observation people have been coming from all the casting and talking about is that a lot of the cast members that have been announced and characters and stuff have all been characters from Ragnarok. A lot of the characters from Thor to Heimdall are characters that only show up in Ragnarok. They don't really show up in the first God of War game. And I think we all kind of expected and thought that the first season, because they ordered 2 seasons already, the first season would be based off the 2018 game, and the second season would be based off its sequel, God of War Valhalla, Ragnarok. Sorry, Valhalla was its spin-off DLC that came out after, which was great as well. But now that we're getting so much casting for characters that only appeared in Ragnarok, it kind of begs the question of, is that really going to be how it's going to work? Or are they somehow mixing the two games together into one season? Like, how's it going to work? I think it's interesting. It would be also just interesting that maybe they're just casting early. Like, they could just be casting for season 2 already before even season 1 comes out. Like, who knows? But at least from how the video games work and how they go, a lot of these characters don't show up until the second game, which it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, they haven't really shared much detail. They just kind of said it is a adaptation of the Norse games in the God of War franchise, so 2018, and then Valhalla. I keep saying Valhalla, it's Ragnarok. Valhalla is, again, the DLC of it. I find it to be interesting. I think the casting so far have all been amazing and fantastic. I've loved every single casting announcement we've gotten for it. I don't think there has been one bad cast for this show. In terms of my excitement, I feel like I've talked about this before on the channel, and I'm very excited for it. I'm looking forward to seeing this. I think Amazon, more than most studios, have done pretty well with a track record with video game adaptations. Obviously, every single studio is trying to get into their own video game adaptations, but Amazon has been one of the best, with Fallout being so good and being just such an amazing TV show in general. I am pretty confident that this will also be good. Obviously, it's being made by different people than Fallout, but it's still Amazon, so you would hope that they would kind of put the same love and care into God of War that they have been doing with Fallout. So who knows, but I think it's going to be good. I have high hopes for it. I'm excited to finally see, once we start getting trailers for it, to see what it looks like, how they can adapt it, as these are such beloved games. Like, I know especially God of War 2018 and Ragnarok are some of my favorite games of all time. So I'm definitely looking forward to this, and I hope they can do it well, because I've enjoyed The Last of Us, especially season 1, and I've enjoyed Fallout, but those aren't games that I'm like in love with like I am with God of War. So I'm excited to truly get a video game adaptation of a game that I'm truly in love with. So looking forward to that. And I'm sure this won't be the last week we talk about casting announcements, with just how much it's been happening. Obviously, the big one is we still need to get the casting for Atreus, which we haven't gotten yet. That's probably the biggest one. I'm excited to see who gets casted as Atreus. Who knows who it will be, but that's going to be a pretty important one when that does come out, obviously. So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if we are reporting on that possibly even next weekend on Sunday. So who knows? Alrighty. On to the next news report. A Nintendo Direct is possibly coming next week. This is coming from Video Games Chronicle, thanks to Andy Robinson. The Nintendo Direct is reportedly coming next week, dedicated to partner games. The last Nintendo Partner Direct featured Star Wars Outlaws, Octopath Traveler 0, and more. Nintendo will reportedly stream a new Nintendo Direct dedicated to third-party games next week. That's according to Nate the Hate and Game Explain, who claim a Nintendo Partner Direct will take place on Thursday, February 5th. This matches what VGC has heard from our own sources. Partner Direct is Nintendo's digital showcase for third-party titles scheduled for release on Nintendo Switch and Switch 2, rather than games Nintendo currently has in its development at its own studios. Nintendo held a Partner Direct last July, which featured games like Final Fantasy Tactics, Monster Hunter Stories 3, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, Star Wars Outlaws, Octopath Traveler 0, and more. I am not shocked about this at all. I feel like if we're expecting similar, if we're kind of going off of last year and years before, it's been rumored, obviously, this year that we're going to get Nintendo Direct on Thursday, February 12th, which is the exact same day we got the Nintendo Direct last year. So exactly 1 year after. And so that doesn't shock me. I feel like we always get a Nintendo Direct in February. Same with, I wouldn't be shocked if we get a PlayStation State of Play in the coming few weeks. it'll be interesting to see what's going to be here. I know a lot of people are disappointed this is just going to be a partner direct instead of a normal Nintendo Direct where we get to see more of Nintendo's first party slate, because we don't know much of Nintendo's first party slate. I know obviously they're doing a new update for Super Mario Wonder for the new movie, and like having Daisy in the game and now, or is it Rosalia? One of the two. And then there's a new Yoshi game coming out. But it'll be interesting. But we don't really know much else for, obviously the only other big game we know for Nintendo's first party slate this year is the Dust Bloods, which actually no, that's more third party, so never mind on that. But this is interesting. I'm personally a little disappointed that this is going to be a partner direct, just because I want to know what else is coming. We don't know really much for Nintendo first party, and I feel like Nintendo doesn't want, after the Switch 2 coming out last year, they don't want their first full year of the Nintendo Switch 2 being a pretty dull year. And right now, with at least the games we know of coming this year, it seems pretty dull. So I think there's going to be a new Pokemon game coming, because it is a big anniversary year for Pokemon. I think a lot of people have been talking about maybe a new 3D Mario game, like a sequel to Odyssey. I'm not saying there might be one or not. Who knows? I would love for that to happen. I love Odyssey, but we'll have to wait and see for that one. I'm a little less confident about that one than others. And obviously we'll probably get more Mario Kart World DLCs and stuff. And big updates for that game finally. So in terms of what I think could be at the Developer Direct, depending on when it's announced and when it's going to actually happen, if it is next Thursday, maybe I'll make a video kind of diving even deeper into what are my predictions for it, what I think will happen, but just to kind of do some quick predictions of what I think could be there, or at least what I hope is going to be there. Obviously, we'll see a good amount of games third-party games that are being ported to Switch 2. We've seen this a lot recently with big AAA games from PlayStation and Xbox now being ported. There's been rumors that Call of Duty could be coming to Switch 2 soon, which would be a perfect place to announce it. Games like, we could see more for a lot of games that are already confirmed for Switch 2, like 007 First Light, which is coming to Switch 2. Elden Ring hasn't come to Switch 2 yet. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Who knows? I'm sure we'll see a lot of the already announced games get announced, or just get a release date announced for Switch 2. Which will be really cool. And even upcoming games like 007 First Light, which I do believe, which is already confirmed for the Switch 2, I believe, and we just haven't seen much of it, so I'm sure we could see more of that and like how it works on the Switch 2, and if there's anything interesting with that going on. In terms of bigger announcements, I think I feel like Dust Bloods has to be there. This is probably Nintendo's biggest game of this year, and it's not even being made. It's still a third-party game. If they don't obviously have like a new 3D Mario game coming out this year, then this is probably gonna be their biggest game, and I'm really interested to see more of the Dust Bloods. Obviously, we've only seen one trailer of it, and we saw it last year. This is like Miyazaki's next game, and it's a Switch exclusive, which is pretty big. I know it's been pretty controversial, and it's another like sort of multiplayer game like Night Rain. Who knows how that will actually work? They haven't really explained how the multiplayer side. It's a PvE, I think. So, or maybe it's just a PvE. I have no clue, honestly. I don't know much. I feel like we don't know much about the Dust Bloods. It looks almost like a spiritual successor to Bloodborne, which I think gets me and a lot of other people excited and interested in it even more. But then again, who knows what it's going to be. But yeah, maybe I'll make a video sometime this week or next week once the partner direct does get announced, of some of my predictions of what I think could come. But right now, at least, I feel like we have to see the Dust Bloods. We have to see a bigger deep dive into it and know when it's coming out, obviously, because we don't know much about Nintendo's slate of this year. So yeah, that should be interesting, and I will probably get an announcement in the next few days or so, or sometime early next week. I think this is definitely happening, especially looking back on past years of when these partner directs have happened is definitely gonna happen next week. I'm like pretty sure this is true. Alrighty, on to the next news story. Highguard gets 5v5 mode a few days after launch. This is coming from Wesley Yenpool over at IGN. Just 4 days after launch, Highguard gets 5v5 limited time game mode to counter those 3v3 complaints. Highguard developer Wildlight has announced a 5v5 limited time game mode available to all players starting today. This was written on Friday, I believe. It will run through the weekend. The free-to-play PvP raid shooter launched this week and immediately met with a mostly negative user review rating on Steam, although that has improved in recent days to mixed. Meanwhile, Steam concurrents have fallen after a peak of nearly 100,000 players, sparking questions about Highguard's future. Chief among the criticisms from players is that the size of the map feels too big and empty for a 3v3 competitive shooter. You're able to summon a mount to get about faster. The mounts are one aspect of Highguard that players seem to universally like, but some thought a 4v4, 5v5, or even 3v3v3 mode would have been a better fit. Alrighty, so if you have not seen my video from last Tuesday, I made a video kind of talking about my first initial impressions on Highguard after playing for a day, after a few hours on the day it came out on Monday, and kind of talking about my experience with it and my pros and cons. So if you want to see my opinion on Highguard after a day, go watch that video from last Tuesday where I talk about it at length. But one thing I did kind of bring up was I did bring up that the maps were kind of big. They were pretty large, and I think obviously by design, you're meant to kind of go out and loot, and this is supposed to be a big map, so you could have like your players on each side maybe not even interact with each other on the enemy team, and kind of just go find loot, find better guns, so you feel like you're confident enough to do well in a gunfight. I was kind of mixed on it when playing it, and I've played the game almost every single day since it's come out. I played a lot on Monday when it came out because I made the video on Tuesday. Then I played even more on Tuesday after the video came out. Even a few of my cons and negativities that I addressed in the video were then fixed like a day after. Like I had a complaint where I couldn't play with just one other player and had to have 3 players in my lobby to play, or else it just wouldn't work, and it then worked. And I had a couple other issues that they fixed immediately, like having an FOV slider. They added that a few days after launch. So that's been awesome. They have been really killing it with the post-launch support. They have been super good, and Wildlight has been really on top of it with updating the game and making sure that they are listening to the player feedback and making sure the game is the best it can be, which I think is awesome, which is great, and good for them for obviously taking all the bad negative criticism that people had when it first came out and kind of just dealing with it and making the game better. I think that's great. They didn't just give up on it and just said, hey, this game is getting too much negative criticism, we should just stop updating and just give up. Like, no, they are really focused on, committed to making it a better game, which I think is awesome. And I've definitely enjoyed my time with it. I've enjoyed it even more the past few days. I got really into it sort of in the middle of the week on like Wednesday, where I was getting even better at the game, and I was consistently then doing really good and like winning every match and just having a fun time playing with friends and just really getting into it. Like I've had definitely, as the week has gone on, a better time with it more and more and more, to the point where I'm really enjoying it. I'm having a really fun time with Highguard, and I can't see myself stop playing it for a while, honestly. Like I'm looking forward to, in the next week or so, the first big season 2 coming out and the big update with the new map and all that stuff. I'm excited for that to happen. And so when the 5v5 mode came out, I believe on Friday, I immediately went to check it out. I know everyone was talking about it, obviously, since people were like, the map is too big, we need more players. So I'm like, oh my god, I gotta check this out. So I played, I think, around like 3 or 4 matches of 5v5, and I thought it was interesting. Honestly, this is going to kind of be a controversial opinion. I don't know how other people feel about, since it just came out. I don't know how other people are feeling about 5v5 compared to 3v3, but I personally don't love it. Honestly, I kind of enjoy 3v3 more. I know that the map is a little too big, and unless you're going to the supply drop during the looting phase, you're probably not going to see an enemy until you reach the shield breaker. But I think that was by design, so you have enough time to kind of loot and to get better guns. And so right at start, as you start the match and you're like, oh my god, I have a bunch of gray guns and I need to find uncommon and better armor, and you're not just getting in gunfights immediately after that and getting destroyed. Like, you have time to loot, you have time to get better loot and all that stuff, and resources, which is an important part of getting a lot of Vesper and stuff. So playing the 5v5, actually, I found it to be much more hectic. Immediately going into starting the looting portion of the game, I was getting into fights with enemies as soon as it started, constantly. Like, obviously towards closer to your base, you have some area to loot and some fresh area, but with 5 players, there's less area for you to personally loot. You're kind of fighting for more loot with people, as instead of just fighting against 2 players in your team for loot, you've got then now 4 other players stealing all your stuff. So it's kind of now even more of a mad dash to find loot around the map that's just for you and not that people can steal, like Vesper, especially since Vesper is so rare, but also so important. But it really isn't until the latter half of the game, once you get into the Shieldbreaker, where I really enjoyed it. It's definitely, like I said, it's much more hectic. It's much more insane, much more crazy. There's a lot more fighting that's gonna happen. You're not just dealing with 2-3 players to take down and defend your base from more attack. You're dealing with 5, and it's a lot. It definitely adds a lot to it. Even just the 2-player add-on, it changes it almost fully differently. I did enjoy that part of it. I thought it's much more hectic, the gunfights. It moves faster. I found that all the matches I played in 5v5 definitely went much more quicker. Most matches I played 3v3, the average amount of time it would take would be around 25 to 30 minutes. Honestly, they'd be long. In the 5v5, they would honestly be done 15 minutes was the usual average. Just went way faster, which I don't really know the reason for that. It just somehow it is. I think that's usually because I feel like whenever I played, one team was always just way better than the other. It was always just a clear difference between one team versus the other. That's not a bad thing, necessarily. I don't know whether that truly is affected by the 5v5, or just as the game has been out for longer, more people have just had more time to play it and get better at it, while others are still kind of first getting into the game. So yeah, I think it's interesting with it being a limited time mode. I think it's done after today. So if you want to check it out, you maybe have a little bit more time before Sunday is over, before it's gone. But I think after today, it might be gone for a little bit. Who knows with how much, if people enjoyed it a lot and how much it was played. They might bring it back sometime soon. They might add a 4v4 sometime soon. They might add a 3v3v3, which is something I would love. I would love to see more than 2 teams on the map. I think that'd be really cool to see. I think that would help a lot as well. But yeah, I've enjoyed it. I'm gonna keep playing High Guard, even with just 3v3 coming back. 5v5 could become permanent. I'm interested to see how, in terms of if this is gonna help the survivability of High Guard. Who knows? I think just the fact that the developers are so adamant on really making sure to listen to the fans and listen to the audiences and keep updating the games day by day basis and adding so many changes and features that people have been asking for, and really just making sure the game is the best it can be at launch, and the week after launch, and 2 weeks and 3 weeks after launch, hopefully they just keep it going and just really keep adding more and more and more, and just more bug fixes, more quality of life features that they've been adding, because they've all been great so far. They turned off the motion blur. They added a feature to turn off motion blur on consoles, which is also greatly appreciated. And another thing another con I talked about in the video on Tuesday. So really, they've been killing it. Wildlight has been doing a great job, and I'm gonna keep playing High Guard. Who knows for how much longer, honestly. I will be honest. Around sometime yesterday playing it, I did kind of at a point feel a little like, I don't know how many more matches I can play of this before I just want to play something else and get off. And I think that's just me not being a big multiplayer guy, and just not having, whenever I play a multiplayer game, I usually am only playing it for just a shorter period of time. I've never really spent a full day or something or weeks on multiplayer games. So the fact that High Guard has had me hooked for this long is impressive enough as it is. But I'm definitely interested. I hope that with more updates coming in, with the big new update coming out, I believe next week or in 2 weeks, that'll really bring me back into the game. Who knows how much I'm going to play it this week with being a little busier and stuff, and kind of having to really have less time, so I have to choose the games I play more wisely. Who knows with that then? But I definitely want to stick to it because I have been enjoying it, and I think the 5v5 mode is, well, much needed, and for it to only come out a few days after launch is awesome and impressive, and how they were able to turn that around that fast is great. So yeah, overall, if you want to check out 5v5, you still have a little bit of time. Let me know if you've been enjoying the 5v5, if you think it's better than 3v3, if you think that should just become the new normal in the game and become permanent. And yeah, alrighty, time for the final news report of the week. And that is, after going gold, Crimson Desert developer says they are deep in the optimization phase. This is coming from Wesley Yenpool over at IGN. After going gold, Crimson Desert developer deep in optimization phase to make the game run as good as it possibly can before launch. If you've seen Crimson Desert's impressive 15-minute gameplay video, you might be wincing at the thought of it running smoothly on your console or PC. Well, right now the developers at Pearl Abyss are focusing on optimization to help ensure a smooth experience when the game comes out in March. Crimson Desert is set in a huge and seamless open world packed with enemies, NPCs, and all sorts of things to do. It's dense with detail. You can zip around quickly on the back of a dragon. Based on the video below, Crimson Desert will be a demanding beast. It will be interesting in particular to see how it runs on the Xbox Series S. According to Will Powers, Director of Public Relations at Pearl Abyss America, the developers are doubling down on the optimization phase as we speak, telling former IGN video extraordinaire Destin Legari in a new interview that this is the focus ahead of Crimson Desert's March 19th release date. And I quote, "We have gone gold. Now comes further optimization to make the game run as good as it possibly can," Powers said. And that's as important of a part. So that's the phase we're currently in between now and launch, to make sure that this experience when players eventually get their hands on the game is as smooth as possible. Alrighty. We've been talking about Crimson Desert, I feel like, every week on the Sunday news videos. This is a game that I'm very much looking forward to. I talked about how on this past Thursday is one of my honorable mentions from most anticipated games of this year. I think this game looks awesome, and everything we've seen so far just looks insane. This game looks insane, and I think because of that, a lot of people have been questioning, is this game too good to be true? It's been a big topic recently. Is this game too big? Is this game truly as big as what they are touting it to be? Recently this week, we just got a new 15-minute long video kind of highlighting more of the open world and some of the features in the game and the map and all that stuff. And just, this game is crazy. Every single time I see a new footage of the game, it blows me away even more. And so it even makes me start to question, can this game really exceed it or reach the expectations it's been kind of having, because of all the stuff they've been showing and all the gameplay and everything they've been saying about the game and just how insane it looks. I think it'll be definitely interesting to see how it launches, for them to be working on the game and kind of the optimization of the game more than a month before launch. I think is definitely a good sign that they know that this is a game that obviously has very high expectations at the moment. So, you know, they have to kind of really make sure that the game is optimized well, so it doesn't come out and people are like, oh man, it's like not as what we were shown, and it's not as good, and it does not meet expectations, and it's a disappointment. Like, obviously they do not want that to happen at all. And so I think it's a great sign that they are focusing, and they have made it known that they really do want this game to be well optimized at launch and to exceed expectations, because the expectations obviously of the game are so high at the moment. It just seems like a game that can do everything. And who knows how that will end up being, who knows how the game will be perceived at launch. I can't wait to see how the game is at launch. This is definitely a day one pickup for me, at least, and I will definitely be making videos on the channel when it does come out. But yeah, I am looking for this game. If you haven't watched the new 15-minute long video they put out a few days ago, give it a watch. It is crazy. The stuff they show, the new gameplay and the new footage of the game just looks wild. This game is just seriously insane looking. It's just so exciting. Like, this really does seem like if this game can meet expectations and it is as good as people think it's gonna be, this is going to be a powerhouse of the game this year. It's going to be probably one of the biggest games of the year, some of the best reviewed games of the year. Who knows, it could be a big competitor at the Game Awards. So that's awesome. I love when games can really kind of come out and have these lofty, big expectations, and people are so confident on them coming out and doing well. And so the question people have been bringing up of, will this game meet its expectations? Is it too good to be true? We can only wait until launch, obviously, as we don't know much. This game, obviously the developers made Black Desert Online, which is an online game and doesn't really look anything like this. So it's a pretty lofty change. So we can't really base it off of anything really. So we're kind of just going to this fully blind and just hoping it is good. And I've got high expectations. I honestly have high hopes for this game. So yeah, that is all. Let me know in the comments if you're excited for Crimson Desert and if you're going to pick it up day one, whether you think it's too good to be true or you think it really is going to come out and be this powerhouse like everyone wants it to be. Alrighty, so that is all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said at the beginning of the video, as I am back at school and have now classes and schedule again and busy, videos will be a little less on a schedule during the weekday videos. So don't expect a video on Tuesday and Thursday. It could be random. Maybe there'll be a video tomorrow. Maybe there'll be a video on Wednesday. Maybe even Tuesday or Thursday. Who knows? I'm probably going to keep it to still just 2 videos a week. But for at least the next 2 weeks, the weekday videos will be a little random on when they come out. But hopefully by 2 or 3 weeks, I can come up with a schedule of when I am most free and when I can really have the most time in my class schedule and just in my week basis to record these smaller, shorter videos that I've been putting out recently. And I know you guys have been enjoying so far. So yeah, stay tuned for more of those and definitely just stick with it for these next few weeks as they are going to be a little random. So if you don't want to miss a video release, make sure to turn on your notifications and subscribe so you don't miss a video release, as they are going to be a little random for the next at least week or 2. But you can still expect a Sunday news video every week. Sorry, my co-host Jason was not here with me. Again, we're both at school, so kind of not together anymore. But we will be back for a news video together next Sunday, and hopefully the Sunday after that, when we're away again from each other, we can hopefully do like a Discord or a Zoom call and just record that then, do it a little differently. So yeah, that'll be all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you enjoyed, subscribe, hit the like button, turn on notifications to get notified when videos come out. And if you enjoyed and have any questions, have anything you want to talk about, any of the topics today, make sure to put it down in the comments below. I read all the comments. I love when you guys comment. It's always awesome to read all those. So yeah, if you have any maybe ideas or anything you'd like for me to talk about in a Tuesday, Thursday video, definitely put in the comments down below. But that'll be all. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good rest of your week. Goodbye, and I'll see you later.